Hello guys, this is Petroleum and you're watching today's trading review. During this program, we are going to check the situation which we have on the stock market, the main news background of the markets, of Forex market, the cryptocurrency market, and of course the stock market. We're going to start with it, and we're going to see what kind of speculations we can do with prices, what kind of opportunities we have on the stock market and on the forex market pairs, and we're going to check the probability of some solutions for day trading strategies for today on the 15-minute charts. And of course we are going to check the probability of trading in a midterm, and we're going to check the 4 hour chart of different assets on our MT4 MT5 platform. So as you know, oil prices continuing to rise. The main reason why it's rising is the energy crisis and different geopolitical things that's going on the Eastern Europe between Russia and Ukraine. So all these factors are helping oil prices to continue to rise. As you know, OPEC is rising its own producing of oil producing, so they are not so really scared of prices dumping, the oil prices dumping. And as many of main members of OPEC already told us that they're not so scared about price dumping, the price of oil is going to rise further. So we have during last year and during this year, we are going to have different record high profit of different oil companies, mostly the monopolists, mostly the biggest oil companies like British Petroleum, which just today we had the news, we had the release of the profit rising, the highest profit rising in the 8 years. So we're going to check the price of the British Petroleum stocks, which is now we are actually looking, and as you see, the prices here broke through the local maximums, and this is a situation which we had from 2020, and now it's 2022 when we actually break through the local maximum. And there's remain on the market, there's still a upward impulse and upward movement potential which we have, but maybe after some downwards correctional movement. So British Petroleum and many other oil companies are kind of rising in profit, and the main reason is the continuance of energy crisis. And as you know, after the coronavirus crisis, many of companies and many of countries started to reduce the amount of oil which they were supplying, and because of that, now they cannot just renew that previous volume of the oil supply which they had, for example, 2 years ago. So we have a problem with supply, and this factor could help oil prices, as well as we see on the 4 hour chart of oil prices, WTI oil prices. The prices have been break through the $90, 91.50, and now they're kind of consolidating around $90. So as we know, many different analysts and banks have told us that prices of oil is going to rise to 100, 250, maybe even during this year, during this half of the year, first half of the year. So we're waiting for the further rise of the prices. And the main thing that the monopolist companies, the biggest companies, oil companies, are going to actually rise in profit when the prices of oil is kind of rising, because there won't be any problem with there won't be any problem with the buyer. So the importers are going to buy it, and there's there could be some problem with the countries on which we have some sanctions. For example, Russia, for example, Iran, and they're both are, for example, oil exporters. But because of some sanctions in the future, their main governmental, for example, oil companies could get lower profit. But as you know, as we know, for example, Russian oil companies, they didn't have any problem with gas supply, with oil supply as well till now, because sanctions haven't yet get further, and the situation with Europe is that Europe is really need the Russian gas and oil as well. So what kind of situation we have with natural gas prices? We are going to actually check all the main assets of the energy sector today. So here's the gas prices on daily chart. On the 4-hour chart, we actually have seen this really sharp impulse of prices, which were related to the policy of the geopolitical factors, the escalation of the situation between Ukraine and Russia. And as you know, during previous week, we had a returning of the price to the local minimums or to the local support. So we have $4 around which we are kind of moving, and under $4, I don't think that we are going to get under $4, but we could really retest $4, $4.20, $4. We could actually retest these levels. But you need to know that above these levels, any kind of strengthening would really cause next upward movement. Diplomatic discussions between Russia, NATO, United States, and Europe is continuing. And this means that escalation won't happen in the near future. But if something bad happens, for example, if any of these sides, Russia or NATO or United States, won't agree on the subject, which is related to Ukraine-Russia actually war and conflict, there would be a really good and sharp rally on the price chart of oil, of gas, natural gas, and the profit of many of oil and gas companies, of course, is going to go higher. So you have to actually pay attention on these factors. Let's see what is going on with the stock market from previous week. As we saw, we had reversed, S&P 500 had reversed from 4,200, and now we are again around 4,500. So as we told you, 4,500 is a really important level. If you are getting lower than this level, the price mainly is going to go lower. But 4,500 is the level, I think, above which we are going to strengthen further, because there is some positive opinion about the stock market that is going to continue the rise, continue the upward movement, despite the Federal Reserve System monetary policy tightening. And as you know, JP Morgan just yesterday told that the Federal Reserve monetary policy just started, so be careful with buyings. Be careful with long positions on stock market, with stocks. And as you know, the stocks of biggest companies are not going to fall that much, but the stocks of companies with a higher depth is going to fall mostly. So just pay attention on the stocks if you are actually working with them. But the stock market indexes like S&P 500 and the industrial stock index of Dow Jones as well, showing us that they are kind of retesting the local supports which we have. Here is 35,000, let's say, for Dow Jones, and $35,000, and for S&P 500 is 4,500. So any kind of downward continuation of downward movement under these levels would mean that index prices are going to continue the downward movement. They're going to continue to fall. But if we get any kind of amplitude, for example, lower amplitude, if we get volatility shrinking under these levels, this would mean that prices would again return to the upward phase. So just pay attention if we really get stuck under these levels and there won't be any downward impulses like this, for example, it would mean that prices could really continue downward movement. But due to this kind of impulses which we have near to these local supports or the really important level of 4,500, for example, or the level of 35,000, $35,000 on the Dow Jones chart, which is a really important level as well. Because of this impulsive retest, we cannot say that prices are going to continue downward movement. If even they are going to continue, they could make another speculative downward impulse. And this could be another lie for two bears. So they would, for example, open some short positions, but they won't. It won't work out actually. So here mainly we're waiting for the continuation of upward movement, and let's see what in which situation dollar now is located. As we see, it's kind of trying to renew the upward movement, renew the upward phase. So 95, 18, 96 was a really important level under which we now are located. But 95, 18, 96, 95, 80, both of these levels, they could get retested. So we could really get some downward impulses on indexes on euro, pound, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar, which would happen after dollar's upward impulse. But this kind of impulses won't really live long. So let's say that we are just, if we are bearish for dollar, we just need to wait for the retest of 96 or 95.80, and then we are going to look at the price formation of the candles, formation of the bars near to the on the 4-hour chart, and then after that we can make a conclusion in which direction prices are going to continue the movement. So here mainly we are waiting for some upward speculation, some rally. But after that, mainly, the continuation of consolidational movement or any kind of reversal is more likely. So let's say that we have a chance of euro, pound, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar reversal and continuance of upward movement as well. Your prices have been reversed from local resistance, but here we have some chance of continuation of upward movement. 1.14 is retesting, which is a really important level, and correctional movement could really continue to 1.13 and even 1.1350, 1.13, and I don't think that prices are going to retest 1.13 in the near future, but I think that due to this, only because of this impulsive movements, and I really bet on a 1.1350. After the retest of 1.1350, maybe we are going to have some reversal movement. And pound prices as well, 1.35 is a local psychological level, is a local target level. And the next target which we could have due to the speculations, due to the probability of the downward speculations, 1.3450. So 1.35, 1.3450 are the levels which could get retested. But you have to pay attention. This kind of accumulation of the energy here would mean that the next movement could be really impulsive. And if the next movement is impulsive, you should know that after this kind of impulsive movement, especially if we have a probability of downward impulse, and we have some local supports near to this target of this downward impulse, like around 1.3450, the next scenario would be reversal. The next scenario would be consolidational. So there is some predictions of price movement, maybe during today's day, maybe during next sessions and tomorrow. For Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar situations as the same. Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar both showing us that the probability of continuance, upward movement continuance is more likely. And 0.66 for New Zealand dollar, 0.71 for Australian dollar are the really important local psychological levels which are now retesting. And after the retest of these levels, we are going to get reversed upward and continue the upward movement. Let's see what is going on with the commodity prices: gold, silver, platinum, palladium. If we have time, so we're going to watch them. We're going to check them as well. Gold and silver, as you know, the prices of commodity, the prices of risk assets rise in the case of something happen wrong with stock market or some crisis comes on. And as you know, the COVID crisis have been actually is kind of continuing, but it's kind of getting near to the end. So due to this factor, you could be more sure that due to the vaccine progress, due to the mutation cycle finishing, which is related to the severity, lower severity of the infection and the higher spread of the infection, which means that the virus is kind of closing the circle, of mutation, the cycle of mutation. Due to all of these factors, due to all the we can say optimism which we have now, due to the monetary policy tightening of European Bank, monetary policy tightening of the British Bank, monetary policy tightening of Federal Reserve System of the United States. Due to all of these factors, we can say that gold is kind of going to dump, and maybe this kind of monetary policy is going to kind of make more pressure on gold prices because interest rates would go higher. First, United States, and then the British Bank, and then the European Central Bank are going to higher the interest rate. So in this kind of situation, we cannot really be sure about the continuation of upward movement of the commodity prices like gold, like silver. And mostly because of China's monetary policy as well. China previously started to, again, actually start the QE program, which means that it's going to pump more yuan to economy, which means that they're kind of going to maybe approve some stimulus. And they do this. They've already finished the a bubble which they had on their own stock market. They actually they had a strike with it. Actually, get back all of the liquidity of the yuan from the banks, and now they're kind of returning this liquidity to the banks. But from this week, from yesterday, from today, and today, they're kind of again take it back. So during this nearest sessions, during nearest days, I think that maybe prices of gold and silver are going to continue the downward movement. Here we have gold prices on 4-hour chart, and as we see here look at prices are reversing from a really important resistance of 1,820, let's say 1,820, and in the case if we are under this level, the continuation of downward movement is more likely. So the continuation of downward movement, and it could really continue to 1,810, 1,800, and this would mean that prices are going to retest the local supports, and then maybe they're going to make some upward movement. So here mainly we are waiting for some reversal due to the 4-hour chart of gold prices, and due to the chart of silver prices shows us more accurate picture, because it's already retested $23. 23 due to the scale of the chart, due to the scale of the midterm chart, the 4-hour chart. $23 is a really important local psychological or target level, after retest of which prices have been reversed. And the continuation of this movement is more likely, the downward movement, and I think that any upward impulse or any upward rally and the breakthrough of $23 would mean that this is a speculation. So you don't really need to believe in it, and maybe you just need to use it to get into short positions. We've already seen oil prices and how they're acting, a shrinking of volatility, in a downward wedge is a good sign of continuance, of upward movement continuance. And if something like this happened, it would mean that prices are going to go higher. I'm sorry, I just forget about United dollar to Swiss franc and to Japanese yen. Situation here is upward, mainly upward, and this upward movement could really continue. Before we get under 0.92 for United States 2 franc, the continuation movement is continuation of upward movement is more likely, and the United States dollar to Japanese yen as well. Until we are above 115, the probability of continuation of upward movement is more higher. So it's really important to not to get under 115, or if we get under this level, get under it and continue the movement with a really low, candle formation, which means the low amplitude. So it's really important to not to get under 1.115 and not to get under 0.92 for all of these, or both of these actually Forex pairs. So here, the continuation of upward movement is more likely for today's day, for next sessions, I think. And the price of oil is continuing to rise. United States dollar to Canadian dollar, euro to Canadian dollar, and pound to Canadian dollar could as well continue the consolidational movement, maybe if oil and dollar continue to rise in same time. Because as you know, Canadian dollar has a really straight correlation with oil prices, and when oil prices rising, Canadian dollar prices rise as well. So pound to Canadian dollar, euro to Canadian dollar, and United States dollar to Canadian dollar could consolidate in the case of dollars, United States dollars, and oil prices simultaneous rise in the future. If oil prices make any downward correction, of oil prices could make all of these pairs to continue upward movement. Here we have some local supports, for example, for GBP to Canadian dollars, or 1.7110, which could get retested, and for euro 1.45 and 44, I think 50 is going to retest. And after the retest of this range, we're going to actually have some upward, maybe impulse, maybe upward reversal, because downward movement was really impulsive. So we just really need some correction on the oil prices, so we get into upward movement on all of these pairs. Bitcoin prices, Ethereum prices, both of them, as we said from previous week, started the upward movement, and this upward movement could really continue. $40,000 have been break due to the predictions of previous time, and the continuation of this movement is really highly possible. Next levels are 45,000, 47,000. They could get retested. After the retest of 45,000, 47,000, we could get reversed. For a time, we could get reversed. And this reversal could be just a correctional reversal. And then we could really continue the upward movement. So for now, for Bitcoin and for Ethereum and for cryptocurrency market, we could be a little bit bullish. 3,000 have been breakthrough for Ethereum, but we have some potential of upward movement. 3,000, maybe 400, 3,000, maybe 600 are the next levels which could get retested. But you need to be really careful if you observe or if you see any kind of reversal signal here, like a divergence on the 15-minute chart or on the 1-hour chart. During this upward movement, you should just be prepared for some correctional of downward impulses. So mainly, the upward movement could continue due to the chart of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to check our website, check our official website. We have different kind of instruments for traders, for beginners, and for experts, which you could use and which could actually make you to get higher profits. Instruments like Risk Manager and of course the Algo Trader, which is available on our MT4, MT5 platforms, and you can actually know more about them, just check information about them on the main site and the official site of Gerchik Co on the English language. So don't forget to check all this information. Don't forget to subscribe on the channel and ring the bell so you would know what kind of programs we have in the future, so you won't miss them. Thank you for watching this video. Till next time, have good tradings. Bye bye.